want to thank you so very much for joining me today on this segment of higher learning. We're going to continue to talk about what we talked about last week, which is the power of a transformed mind. That is such a powerful thing. And in our lives today, that's something we really need to really focus on, to get a hold of. And that's what we want to talk about today. So as we begin, I want to go right into what we're going to be talking about. And it's going to be talking about negative thoughts. You know how powerful negative thoughts are in our minds and in our lives? They can really destroy the momentum that we want to make in our lives. And so we're going to really dig into that today. So the first thing I want to say is giving place to negative thinking only bears bad fruit. I want you to think about that. I want you to imagine that your mind is a garden. And if you saw any weeds springing up at any time, you would immediately move into action to root those weeds out, because you know what happens? Those weeds will tend to snuff out and to really destroy anything that you're trying to plant, anything that's growing. It will snuff the life from it. And so negative thoughts are just like weeds. If you allow them to fester in your mind and in your life, they will snuff out all of the creativity. They will snuff out all of the things that you want to do in your life and everything that you really want to build in your life as far as momentum, because momentum is such a powerful thing. Everybody needs momentum. Sometimes in order to get going, you just have to get some momentum. But when you really deal with the canvas and the roots in your mind, you have to think about what's going in your head. Because as the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, it says, "For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he." And when you think about that, if you give place to negative thoughts, you will become a negative person. So as you think about your mind as that garden, I want you to think about the things that you're meditating on. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Now, you don't have to answer this out loud. You don't have to write it down. I just want you to think about it. Are you negative? Do you believe that you deserve the right to be successful? Do you believe you're ugly? Do you believe that you don't have the right to be successful and have prosperity and all those things? Do you believe negative things about yourself? I know there are many millions of women out there that I can ask this question to, and men as well, but I'm going to pose this to the women first. How many negative body thoughts do you have about yourself every day? Think about that. Many people, men included, myself included as well, we have negative thoughts about ourselves on a daily basis, about our lives, about what's going on in our lives, about how we feel, about how we look, our appearance. And so we have to think about those thoughts as seeds. If you're casting that kind of seed in your life, if you're casting it in your mind, if you're allowing those things to move in your mind and in your life, and they begin to pick up steam and they begin to bear fruit, and then you find yourself in a place where your life is really not as fruitful as you wanted to be, did you sow that seed? Ask yourself that question. Yes, you did. Should you bear the brunt end of all that fruit that's growing in your life because of the things that you've been saying? Because the Bible is true. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you think that you're not successful, or not going to be successful, then should you be successful? If you consistently think about yourself in a way that's negative, why should you expect anything positive? That don't make sense. So what I want to challenge you to do today is to change the tenor of your thoughts, change and really think about what you're thinking, how negative you're being. You want to eradicate negative thinking because it's such a cancer to your life, and it gives way to just what you want it to do. So what you want to do is begin to root out, pull down, destroy, and then throw down these negative mindsets, these negative habits, these negative thoughts, because they're building the foundation for the life that you don't want. Okay? So we're going to work on that. And so we're going to move on to Proverbs chapter 15, verse 13. And I want to say this: sad and negative thoughts weaken our spirits and just lead us to discouragement. Last week we talked about the power of negativity and how there's so many diseases out there that are rooted in stress, and a lot of that is rooted in negativity. So we stress about things in our lives, and most of the things we stress about are negative things. And so our bodies, our lives begin to be drained of the life. Remember those weeds. Our life begin to be drained of those of the life source and of the energy that we need because of the negative thoughts we have, because of the negative things that we allow into our lives. And so what I want you to think about is eradicating those things, because they drain the life out of your dreams. They drain the life out of you, out of the momentum that you want to make in your life. And so, as we're thinking about the power of transforming your mind and moving to a greater place of success and fruitfulness, you have to change the way you're looking at yourself, change the way you're thinking, change the way you're talking. All of that matters. It really does. And so, as you think about those things we've been talking about, I want to bring your mind to Luke chapter 6, verse 45. And it says, "A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth that which is good. And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks." Now, this is the power of that. If you're a person that carries around a negative mentality, if you carry around these negative thoughts and negative images of yourself, you will wind up more than likely telling somebody. You're spreading that stuff. And what I want you to do is I want you to see your mouth like a cedar. You're out there, you're talking, you're saying negative things, and you're speaking things over not only yourself, but people. And every time you say something negative, you're casting a seed. You're casting that seed. And that seed can and will bear fruit. And like I said before, once you start seeing that seed bear fruit, own the fruit because you sowed it. So if you don't like the seed that you're sowing, if you don't like the harvest that's coming from it, then change what you're sowing. Now, the Bible also says that we should speak those things that be not as though they were. There's a power in that. You have to. There was a cartoon that came out when I was a kid. It was called the Thundercats, and Lion-O had a sword, and on that sword it had an eye. He called it the Eye of Thundera, and in that he said the Eye of Thundera gave him sight beyond sight. Now that's funny. As a kid, I didn't think anything about it, but now as an adult and as a pastor, I challenge you to have sight beyond sight in your own life. Just like the I am Thundera may have given Lionel sight beyond sight, our faith is what's supposed to give us sight beyond sight. Even though your circumstances and your situations might not be where you want them to be, you still have to have the vision to speak something that you want to come to pass. Because look, if the power of negativity is what's releasing in your life the fruit that comes from negativity, why not turn it around and begin to release the power of positivity? I just want you to think about that. The last thing we're going to talk about as we begin to close this segment of higher learning is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. And it says, "Love does not behave itself unseemly, seeks not her own, and is not easily provoked, nor does it think evil." Now, I'm going to tell you like this. If we're walking in love, then we shouldn't be carrying around all these negative thoughts about people. I want to challenge you as we close to change the way you're viewing people, because the negativity that's been running rampant in your life probably and in our lives, we carry it right over into how we think about other people. And so that's not the will of God for you to have these negative thoughts, for you to think the way you do. And all that negativity does is it seeds down into every area of your life. It seeds down into the way you think about yourself. It seeds down into the way that you're talking about other people. It seeds down into the way that your life is going. Because remember, the word of God says that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So whatever you're giving thought to, and I always say this, whatever you think about the most, you will bring about. Whatever you think about the most, you make the largest in your mind. And so if you're thinking about negative things and you're building up this harvest of negative things in your life and these negative perceptions in your life, then you have to understand that your life is going to bear that fruit. So what I want you to hold on to today as we close this segment of higher learning is that you have the power to change your life. You have the power to move things where you want them to go in your life. But I want you to try to start using the power of your faith tied to positive affirmation, tied to you not seeing your situation as something that's insurmountable, but something that you can overcome. Shortcomings, challenges, these things you can overcome. If you don't like your appearance, you can overcome that. You can work out. You can do whatever you have to do to be happy with yourself. But stop seeding into your life negative thoughts.